What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Dissect That Film, where we dissect your favorite films, film franchises, and TV. Today, on episode 48 of the Dissect That Film podcast, we are talking about the first film, the Nolan trilogy of Batman movies, Batman Begins. I am your host, Brett Parker. Joining me, as always, is the wonderful Dan and Angela of DNA Gaming.
Hello.
How are you guys today?
Fine, sir.
Apparently better than you.
Yeah, apparently better than yourself.
Listen, if I could just make it through the recording, we'll be all right.
Sounds like a plan
You got
to me.
this.
Yeah, I hope so. So we're talking about Batman Begins. It's like a palate cleanser to finally be getting into these movies. Oh man,
It's so nice, dude. To put one on, like, oh, holy shit, these movies can be good.
it's like it's a
Not
good movie.
counting the first two. Not counting the first two, because the first two Batman movies were good.
Right.
But like the last two we've watched.
Well, Forever, I enjoy Forever. I know you don't, but like Forever isn't too bad. But Batman and Robin is just like.
I mean, what was the last big long term franchise we did?
Jurassic Park.
Yeah. So like that. Well, that's a bad example because the first couple ones they're good movies.
Right.
Jaws starts out great and it's just a slow spiral. Well, it's not slow, but it's a downward slow.
Or you could just be like me, who did all the Resident Evil movies, where it's just like
That's
bad, and then just below, like it's in a realm that no one ever wants to go to.
Most movies start here and go down.
Yeah, just-
Resident Evil just starts here. You can't see it anymore.
So this movie was directed by the legendary Christopher Nolan, who is well known for, of course, the Batman trilogy, Inception, Interstellar, Tenet, which is his latest movie, Dunkirk. What was one of his earlier ones? One from like where the guy had amnesia. I can't remember what the hell it was called.
I'm not familiar with his work outside of post Batman.
Memento. People are gonna be like, "Fuck you." He also directed The Prestige, which is another one of my favorites. It's such a good movie. This dude he's so good. His movies are fantastic. Yes, there are some that people will have a different opinion about, but for me, Christopher Nolan is a fantastic director. You want to know who this movie was written by? You want who wrote this movie?
Yeah, I do know who wrote this. Can I do this?
You sure can.
It's David S. Goyer.
David S. Goyer, the man behind the Blade trilogy. He wrote all three of those. He directed the third one. That was a mess. And yeah, this is 1 year after Blade Trinity that he writes.
He stepped the fuck up,
right?
dude.
I mean, Christopher Nolan, he helped out, but I'll give David S. Goyer some credit. David S. Goyer, if you go through his filmography, has written some really good movies. Unfortunately, when he stepped behind the camera, it just wasn't so great.
I don't think, and as we talked about in the episode, I think there was a lot more going on than we realized with that movie.
Right.
Blade 3, because I think generally he has done what?
That I was looking up his.
Oh, it's a podcast series. Okay. Oh, he's writing the new Hellraiser?
Yeah, I heard that.
Whoa. Oh, he's doing Sandman. Okay, anyway, sorry, we're gonna
we'll get on a David S. Goyer tangent. Yeah,
I know, right?
It wouldn't be the first time we've gotten off on a tangent.
This stars Christian Bale stepping into the shoes of Batman / Bruce Wayne. We have Michael Caine coming in to play Alfred. We're
So fucking charming.
We're getting our first non-Michael Goff Michael Caine. Alfred. We're getting a Michael Goff Michael Caine baby.
I can't wait they do a biopic of the making of Batman where Michael Caine plays Michael Goff.
Yes.
Please.
He's at the right age now. We got Liam Neeson before Liam Neeson decided he was going to make 75 movies a year. What happened to that man's career? Like, he was such a prestigious actor, and now it's like he puts out so many movies a year that are all stinkers.
I don't get it, because like Liam Neeson's dope. Liam Neeson is dope as shit, and I like a lot of the movies he's in. But no, like, what does he even do like these days? Outside, like, does he do more Taken sequels? Is that still a thing?
No, I think that's where it all started. Was he did Taken? It was such a hit that he kept doing the Taken movies, and then he was just asked. He just kept taking everything he was asked by anybody. He's done so many straight to DVD films. He's just a lot of stinkers in the last I'd say 5 to 10 years. Yeah,
like
I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
I love Liam Neeson. I don't think it will ever taint his career.
2017.
He's a fantastic actor. Unfortunately, we don't know the behind the scenes of what's going on. Katie Holmes, Mrs. Tom Cruise at the time, was in this movie playing Rachel Dawes.
God, I fucking hate her.
So Christopher Nolan and David S. Goyer.
I knew it kind of threw you off of it. I'm just kidding. Carry on.
She was good. She was fine in this movie.
She was. I was just fucking with you.
So David S. Goyer and Christopher Nolan wrote Rachel Dawes specifically for this movie. She's not part of Batman comics. And Katie Holmes was the ideal choice for them when they created the character.
Oh, yeah. She did a great job.
Yeah.
Gary Oldman stepping in, playing Commissioner Gordon, which I'll say it now, even though we haven't covered some other Batman movies, he's the best Commissioner Gordon. Even though he's not technically Commissioner Gordon in this film, he's just kind of low in the police department right now, but he's the best Gordon in my eyes.
I think give him some movies.
Lieutenant, thanks to you.
Yeah, because he was he Sergeant Gordon?
He was Sergeant Gordon.
Yeah. Sergeant.
No, he was Sergeant
I think give him some movies, and I think as long as the same guy still does them, the dude who did Commissioner Gordon and the Batman, I think he'll be right up there. As long as he stays consistent.
No, I'm not. Yeah.
But I agree with you. Because it's fucking Gary Oldman.
Jeffrey Wright was awesome in the Batman. But yeah, he's done that one movie, did a great job, but we'll have to see what he does, because that's the thing is Gary Oldman took this character and he grew through the 3 films and became, in this one he's kind of the, he's the lower guy in the station. He's trying to prove himself and he's trying to show that Gotham isn't as bad as people perceive it, even though it is.
Oh, Gotham's a shithole in this movie. Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, 100%.
But I think in most Batman media, Gotham's kind of a shithole.
Cillian or Killian, I don't know exactly how to pronounce this actor's name. I think it's Cillian Murphy.
I think it is too. He
plays Scarecrow in this. He actually auditioned to play Batman. There's actually a video on YouTube that you can watch of him doing a Batman audition with the suit. Not the suit worn in the film. All the actors who auditioned for Batman in this movie wore the Val Kilmer Forever suit.
Funny thing is, this exact same thing would happen to a Marvel movie.
What do you mean?
Because where Killian was supposed to be Bruce Wayne, but it was given to Bale, but he liked Killian so much he left him in as Jonathan Crane.
Right.
Well, the same thing happened with Tom Hiddleston, because he auditioned for Thor, but then they gave it to Chris Hemsworth. Right, they liked Hiddleston so much he became Loki. Yep. So funny how that.
Glad he became so much better.
Yeah, I've seen the screen tests of Tom Hiddleston as Thor, and it's pretty funny stuff. Watched it now.
It is. I will say one thing. I don't know how true this is. I was reading this in the IMDb trivia, because since we're talking about Mr. Cillian Murphy, which by the way, I remember him first from 28 Days Later.
Yes.
That's the first movie I saw him in. Apparently, Nolan was so infatuated with the color of his eyes, because he's got a very bright blue eyes.
Yeah.
That he apparently had any scene, like he tried to write in as many scenes possible where he takes his glasses off.
Yeah, I read that. So that's pretty funny.
I figured you did, but
love Scarecrow.
Scarecrow's a great villain.
So Tom Wilkinson is in this. He plays Falcone, or that's what he's called in this movie. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Anytime he's in a movie, this character, it's pronounced differently. It's either Falcone or Falcone. And in this movie, it's Falcone. And I think in the Batman, it's Falcone.
See, I've always heard it because he's been in other Batman media, and I've always heard it Falcone, but it's whatever.
Because he was in the animated series, correct?
I don't remember if he was in he may have been, but he's appeared in other animated films.
He was in Gotham. I know he was in Gotham. He was in the was he in the Arkham series? Arkham City, maybe? I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Rutger Hauer's in this movie. If you've ever see Blade Runner, The Hitcher, a very underrated horror movie where he literally plays a hitchhiker who ends up being a serial killer, and it's awesome.
Okay, listen, like I was reading the stuff, and I want to say I've never seen Blade Runner. Throw all the shade you want at me for that. Never seen Blade Runner. But
I've never seen it
I was
either.
I was reading all the stuff about it because I've seen the monologues of him in the Howard in it, and it hit me that he obviously played the one dude on the board of Wayne Corp in this movie. And I was like, oh yeah, that's him.
Well, the funny thing was is that Christopher Nolan held a screening of Blade Runner for the entire cast and crew. And when they got and after they watched, he's like, we're gonna make a Batman movie like that.
I dig it.
We got Ken Watanabe playing the character he plays.
Not Ra's al Ghul.
Raz.
Yeah, Raz, Raish, however the person says it.
Yeah,
I've only heard it.
Tomato. I've heard it Ra's al Ghul before.
Yeah.
That's how I've always heard it. So that's whatever.
And the man who literally, I mean, you can give it to Christian Bale for creating Batman, but if it wasn't for Lucius Fox, played by Morgan Freeman, we wouldn't have Batman.
He's so good.
He's so good. So good.
He's so good.
I do want to. Go ahead.
I'll say you're gonna get a lot of that from me. This movie, this episode, and probably the next 3. A lot of so good and excellent and fantastic,
right?
And just a prerequisite.
Cinematography done by Wally Feister, who did all the cinematography for all of the Batman movies, and I believe he's done most of Christopher Nolan's films. It's so good. It's the shots that he gets, the wide frame shots, the distance shots of like Batman over the ledge. What are you laughing at?
This one?
No, not what you just said. What actor is this? Is this Howard still? Yes. Okay, so I'm like going, okay, hold on. I was not laughing at what you said. She's scrolling through movies he played. Go down 2014. I'm going through these movies of like 2015, The Scorpion King 4.
Oh.
Who?
The Quest Howard.
Rucker Howard?
Yeah, Scorpion King 4, Quest for Power, and then I thought of Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money. It's just, I don't know why that came to mind. Sorry. Go ahead.
I thought you were laughing at Gangsterdam.
Oh, Gangsterdam.
You think of that terrible Superman movie, Superman 4, Quest for Peace? Isn't that the fourth one? Yeah.
I think so. It's with Nuclear Man or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know why that was so funny to me. It's just because it's Spaceballs, probably.
I gotta say,
sorry.
Very good cinematography in this movie.
Yes, it's very good. There's a lot of really good shots and stuff.
Music was done by 2 big composers, Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard. And boy, this music, I love Hans Zimmer. I think he does no wrong with his scores, and I love the new theme you get with this Batman. I mean, nothing is as iconic as Danny Elfman's score from Batman and Batman Returns. And, funny enough, he also wrote the theme for the animated series because it's the same theme.
He did. Yes, he did.
Nothing is going to be as iconic. Yeah, nothing is going to be as iconic, and nothing, to be honest, is going to beat that for a Batman theme. But what Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard create for this trilogy of Batman films is really good.
Oh, he did Gladiator? Oh, fuck.
Oh, Dune?
Yeah, Dune.
See, Hans Zimmer, I'm familiar with, but I'm not so much. Of course, he did The Simpsons. Everybody does The Simpsons.
So, James Newton Howard did Pretty Woman, The Fugitive, Space Jam, the 2005 King Kong.
Okay, we have a problem here. He did Space Jam. I'm fine with the King Kong one, though. Keep going.
Space Jam's awesome.
Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, The Sixth Sense, and I Am Legend. Actually, he scored 8 of M. Night Shyamalan's films, starting with The Sixth Sense, because that was the first film M. Night directed. But Hans Zimmer, I mean, is a legendary composer. I mean, you got to think.
Oh, yeah.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
That fucking theme is...
Dude, he did Monsters vs. Aliens. It's a great fucking movie. It really is. I love that movie. But yeah, I know he was because I've heard his name. Like, I hear his name like up there with like John Williams, shit like that. He's a very big composer.
Mm-hmm.
But like that, I don't know.
He's been
Dude,
composing since '80.
He was the synthesis on Batman Mask of the Phantasm.
Yes.
Of course he's the fucking man. Carry on.
Yes. Oh man, this movie was released 3 different dates. May 31st, 2005 in Tokyo, June 15th, 2005 in the United States, and June 17th, 2005 in the United Kingdom. Which is
fair
how a
enough.
lot of movies go nowadays. Ran at 2 hours and 20 minutes, and it didn't feel like it at all.
I didn't think so either. I was like, man, this movie just trucks, dude.
Yeah, it cruises. Yeah. Love it. Budgeted $150 million and ended up grossing $373.7 million, which is a big box office for, a franchise that's was dormant for 8 years since 97 when Batman and Robin came out.
And this movie was 2005?
2005.
I figured it'd be a little bit more than that, to be honest. That's still a good haul, but I thought it'd be a little bit more.
I think The Dark Knight will, completely destroys it because, people. That's the thing is it's a franchise that came back. Yes, it is Batman, but I think people were still very hesitant based on what Batman and Robin was. And people are like, we get it, but we're kind of scared here.
I got a feeling this was one of those movies, like you said, people were apprehensive to see it in theaters. It still made its money and then some in theaters. I think a lot of people probably watch this on home video. I bet this movie had great home video sales.
Not me. I saw it in theaters. I gave them my money. It was the last movie I ever saw in theaters with my grandmother. So it holds a special place in my heart.
Well, it's a fantastic film, so it's understandable.
I just remember watching it. I just don't remember when.
We watched Dark Knight Rises together in theaters. That's the first one. I didn't watch this one or The Dark Knight in theaters.
So, yeah, I mean, this was a big deal. People were very hesitant about Batman coming back and what the thought process was behind it of what do we do? Do we make it, can we just kind of do our own thing? And I think Warner Brothers, unlike what they did to Schumacher and they kind of took control of his productions and the ideas he had and stuff like that. They kind of gave Nolan the freedom to do whatever he wanted. And you can definitely tell in this movie, like this is a dark and gritty Batman story.
Like, hey, Nolan, you're good at making movies. Make a fucking movie.
Right. Well, that's the thing though, is like Nolan made Memento came out 5 years before this, but he wasn't like a mainstay yet. He wasn't he didn't have like these big movies that people were like, you know what? Let's hire Christopher Nolan. They figured, why not?
This is funny how much this is echoing another new Batman movie that kind of had the same thing happen. Well,
in a way, Matt Reeves, he did the second and third Apes films, which were huge.
Well, not necessarily with Nolan being a newer director, but the fact that when this movie came out, especially with a lot of franchises, it's kind of like executives and stuff, and the motion picture company pretty much tells them what to do. Right. Where with this movie, apparently they're like just gave it to Reeves and like just make a good fucking movie. They're like, this is how we want our movies to be, director driven. Like, why wouldn't they be director driven to fucking begin with?
You're hiring these people to direct a movie.
Yeah, if you just want a name, just make up a fucking name and put it on there and make the movie yourselves.
Should we go through all the movies that bombed because the studios would step in and take control of the production?
Well, I feel
Fantastic
like going to sleep I feel like going to sleep tonight, so we probably shouldn't.
Yeah, that'll be an episode all in itself.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, Christopher Nolan, once the success of Batman Begins really kind of put him off into this crazy trajectory into being considered one of the greatest directors of all time. I mean, some people might not say that, but to me, I think he is. I mean, his films are so iconic, and people still talk about like Interstellar and Inception and the Batman. I mean, The Dark Knight, which we'll talk more about next week, is a lot of people consider, including me, to be one of the best, not just Batman movies, but best movies ever made. Like, it's so good.
It's good.
And this movie is not that far off from The Dark Knight. This movie is so good.
It's a hell of a starting point. It really is.
There are some flaws, and The Dark Knight had flaws. And, there's always going to be that flaw.
Yeah.
But I mean, even our favorite movies of all time are going to have flaws. but this one just, man, it just hit everything. It hit the nail on the head. It took the idea and ran. And this is the first time we truly get to see the origin of Batman. Like, we get to see it from the beginning and his journey through it. Not just, oh, my parents died in an alleyway, now I'm Batman. No, it's that journey through, through the process and him becoming Batman. And I like the fact of him training up in the mountains, and then it shows like the flashbacks of like events that lead up to him leaving, which I thought were good. Oh,
it was good.
I can't wait to break down this plot. It's such a good movie.
We can't forget that Joffrey's in this too.
Yes, he is. Jack, I think his name's Jack Gleason.
Yes.
Yes, he shows up twice.
I was scrolling through it and I was like, that name sounds familiar.
When he showed up on the screen, I was like, I told my wife, I was like, he will become one of the most hated TV characters of all time.
Yes.
He's adorable in this movie though, and I felt bad. I was so happy he got saved.
I didn't.
He was a cutie. Well, I'm not a Game of Thrones fan, so I'm not that invested in him. I just know he's a piece of shit in that show. He's just a child in this movie, Angela. Just a child.
He still grows up to be a
piece of shit.
Listen, Angela, you got to remember these are actors. They're not. They're not. He's probably a very nice person.
He probably is.
He's probably like the nicest person ever. Like, those are the people you got to watch out for.
Yeah.
Oh man. So Christian Bale, he's a method actor. He literally, the first time he ever had the suit on, he kept it on all day so he could get acclimated with the suit. But he still stated it was very uncomfortable. So literally, when you see him in the suit in the movie, I guess he just always was in a shitty mood when he was in the suit. So it always brought that grittiness to the character.
Yeah.
Which is, it's just so good. He lost his voice a couple times during production because of the way he has to like change his voice. And it doesn't sound that bad in this movie. And listen, people make fun of it all the time. And I am a defender of the voice change. Okay. Listen, he runs into people he knows outside of being the Batman. All right.
We're not laughing at that.
But Batman did it in the animated series.
Yeah.
Like, it's
what,
just
talks like Bruce Wayne?
No. In the animated series,
he talked in like a lower register.
Yeah. Like, he tried to at least do something different. I'm not criticizing him for it. It's just, I just can't help. He did a great job. I'm not criticizing him as Batman or Bruce Wayne. It's just there's so many memes around it. I can't help but laugh when I hear, "Where do the other drugs go? Swear to me!" And like draws.
I'm Batman.
He did it. Yeah, Batman. That dude. But he does it because there's some times when he's talking that he doesn't do the whole gritty like sandpaper thing, but he just tries to speak in a lower register. I think it's specifically when he's talking to Rachel, mainly. He kind of lowers it register just to talk to her. It
definitely changes throughout the movie.
It does, yeah. Gargling marbles, absolutely.
Yeah, because like when he talks to Gordon, it's not as raspy.
Yeah.
Because him and Gordon don't really have a relationship other than when he was a kid, so he doesn't really know what he sounds like. Alfred knows he's Batman, so he doesn't need to do it to him. Lucius has to know he's Batman because he's the one who gets him all the stuff.
Yep.
He's a base jumper.
As far as I'm concerned, it's all yours anyways.
Yeah. As long as you don't tell me what you do, then I don't have to lie to anybody about it.
Exactly.
See, that's how I want to be.
That's what makes Morgan Freeman so goddamn good.
They're so charming. Just like Michael Caine, dude. So fucking charming.
I just love their quips that they have. Like, they're loving this part.
Where Alfred stands up for the Wayne name than Bruce does. This is a Wayne legacy, and he's like, I don't care, or this is about your name. He's like, I don't care about my name. He's like, but it's not just your name; it's your father's name. And you're like, ugh, so good.
Get him.
And also like the little bits of humor, the Michael Caine like throwing that like, oh hey, it's not meant to be like a laugh out loud thing, but it's kind of like a light comment to be thrown in there. You might chuckle at or smile.
Come check this out. I'm gonna stay back here, Master.
Stuff like that. That's what I'm talking. Because even as serious as this movie is, you still get those little bits of levity in the movie. Just little. They're not heavy, just little bits, and it's nice.
All right. Well, there's a lot to talk about in this movie. Oh, one thing I do want to mention, because of the darkness and grittiness of this Batman movie, this actually gave the producers of James Bond the idea to, when they went back to the Bond films, to make it more dark and gritty. And that's why we had the Daniel Craig films that really took a departure from, because if you think about it, with Batman, I mean, James Bond's been around for a lot in film, not in Batman's older than James Bond, but in film, James Bond has, he's been around longer.
A long time.
Yeah, because we don't, I mean, if you want to count the serials from the 40s for Batman, then I'm wrong. But he's been around since 1960 in film. And if you look at the James Bond films from the 90s, even the late 80s, they all they were like the same thing. They were very structurally the same. Like if you look at Pierce Brosnan's James Bond movies, so what, GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, they all came around the same time as like Forever and Batman and Robin.
Yeah, all right.
They totally feel very like cartoonish, which is funny because then, we get Batman Begins, which then also brings back James Bond, and now you have these dark and gritty stories of both these characters side by side. They're holding hands, they're skipping down, they're having a good time.
Yeah,
Batman
absolutely.
And James Bond hanging out. Gotta love it.
Well, yeah, I agree.
All right.
Poopy
if
dicks.
Anybody has anything they want to add to trivia on this movie that we might have not talked about, because there's a lot that we aren't going to talk about in this episode. We'll add some stuff as we're breaking down the plot. Make sure to leave them in the comments. Don't be angry with us. Just say, hey, there's this. And I'll be like, cool. That's what we want in our comment section.
Yeah, he's Dr. Fate.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
All right. Are you guys ready for the plot?
Can we tell us well, I guess we don't really need to let everybody know what we think about the movie, do we?
Oh, no. Whoa, we got to back up. Sorry. Woo. It's not like I've already done almost 50 episodes of this fucking show. Dan and Angela, tell me what you thought of this movie.
I loved it. I mean, stop touching me. Gas. Let me speak.
Speak.
I mean, I have, I said throughout this whole beginning how good it was. So, I mean, I don't know how much more I can add to how much I like it.
The only thing I'm going to say is I'm going to piggyback on you to keep this short. So I love the movie. It's really good. Everybody acts really well in it. You should watch it if you haven't, because it's easily one of the best Batman movies ever made, which you'll get that next week as well. And it's got Gary Oldman in it, dude. Come on.
Yeah. He's so good.
He was Reznov.
He's a lot of things. He's so many things.
He's been a lot of things.
He's been in so many movies, and they're all good.
Wait. I escaped with Reznov. You don't understand, Mason. Reznov was never there. Reznov died in prison. What? You never played Black Ops.
No, I know. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I love that. I was like,
a great storyline.
Anyway, yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I said it. I've said it many times. I love this movie. Yeah. It's one of my favorite Batman movies. Christian Bale does a great job of being both Bruce Wayne and Batman, which I don't think. I mean, other than like Michael, I think Michael Keaton did a good job for, at that time, and Michael Keaton is always going to be, I think, a lot of people's favorites when it comes to Batman, and I think he had that really good balance between the two characters. Christian Bale does it on a different level.
Yes.
With the grittiness and just the raw power behind, when he throws a punch. Listen, the fight choreography is not great in this movie, as I've stated. It is better than what we've gotten in the past with any of the prior Batman movies. You have a dude in a really thick rubber suit trying to beat up a bunch of people, and sometimes it doesn't look great, but the way that they shot it made it look great.
Listen, I'm gonna let you guys know. I'm just gonna throw this out to you. The Japanese have been doing it with tokusatsu for a long ass time, so they have no excuse. I'm gonna say it right now.
They're just better.
They just know.
They're just better.
But in all seriousness, you are. The only thing one of the things I don't like is just how jumpy the fights are. But I know it was filmed that way.
The cutting between.
Yeah, but I knew that going in because I knew that's how this movie was filmed. It's not that bad, but it's fine. It's fine.
I think the purpose behind it was the fact, especially that first fight scene at the docks. It's more to, I think it was more shot that way so that you don't get a full glimpse of Batman, because you want that shot of him pulling Falcone out of the car and saying he's Batman. That's when you get your full look. Yeah, you get some shots of him coming down and saying his here and stuff like that and pulling the guys up, but like it's terrifying. Like that scene is scary up until what we get in the Batman. This is one of the scarier Batman scenes.
Yeah.
Of him just literally yoinking dudes left, right, and center. Just this movie.
Being Batman, dude.
This movie's so good.
It's so good. It's such good.
Such goodness in my heart. All right. It's time for the plot. This movie opens with a shot of the orangish sunrise sky as a bunch of bats form the new Batman logo, because it is new and sharp. It's very pointy, this one.
Yes, sir. Rounded edges. No
rounded edges on this Batman logo. This one is dangerous. But yeah, I do like this opening shot. And of course, you get similar shots throughout this trilogy. But this is the first time you really get to see it, and it's really cool. This movie opens to a young boy. He's looking for a girl named Rachel. You don't really know who the boy is at this very moment, but you kind of guess it's Bruce Wayne because the girl goes, Bruce. He falls into a cavern, and he's scared. And when he looks into the darkness, bats just come out. They just swarm him. And you're like, oh shit, I'd be scared too.
That'd be an intense situation to be in.
I don't hate bats. Bats are cool. Bats do a lot of good. But if I was in a dark cave and got swarmed by bats, even though I feel nothing's going to happen to me, it's still a terrifying moment. Yeah. Especially when you're a kid.
Yeah.
So adult Bruce wakes up and he is in a Tibetan prison. I'm believing this is Tibet.
I think you're right.
I think that's where the temple is. And it's either Tibet or it's China. China and Tibet are like right there, right? Like they're close together?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe they're in that area.
All right. My geography is bad.
Yeah, I don't know geography.
Mine either.
He's getting some really terrible food, and some dude wants to fight him. He's like, can't it just wait after breakfast?
Yeah, I know, right?
And the dude throws a couple punches, and then Bruce just goes ham on this one guy, and then he knocks out like six people, according to Ducard.
Yeah, he's like,
he said seven guys. But Ducard's like, I only counted 6. And I like when they're dragging him away, and he's like, why are you locking me up? He's like, protection. He's like, I don't need protection. And he's like, protection for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
He gets thrown in kind of like a solitary confinement. And Ducard's just hiding in the fucking corner, like in the shadows. He's just like, hello, Bruce Wayne. And he's like the voice of Ra's al Ghul, Raish.
However you want to say it.
Yeah, it's all up to interpretation because it's been said so many different ways in Batman media that you yell at me for how I say it. I'm just, yeah.
He'll punch you in the dick.
Yep, right. He wants Bruce to join the League of Shadows, which is a shady organization that kind of, it's helped to rid the filth of the world, pretty much. That is their primary objective. And his task is, if you come up to the temple, you got to get a blue flower that's in this one valley and then bring it to us. So this is where we get our traveling montage of Bruce getting the flower, and then he's making the journey across some glaciers and up some mountains, and he doesn't have the proper gear, but somehow he's fine.
Bruce Wayne, dude.
He's Bruce Wayne.
Pre-Batman Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, Bruce makes it and is greeted by Ra's al Ghul, who you think is Ra's al Ghul, played by Ken Watanabe. The language he speaks is made up.
Yeah,
it's not
supposed to be
real.
like, gibberish or whatever?
Yeah, it's not Japanese. It's not Tibetan. It's just something that Ken Watanabe made up for the movie.
It worked
Cool.
for me.
Hey,
Nice.
I'm down for it. Mercenary. So yeah, he's greeted by Ra's al Ghul, mercenaries, and Ducard.
That's why there was no
Subtitles?
yeah
for some of it?
subtitles in
Yeah.
that.
It's funny because he says a couple things in English, like perfect English, and then yeah, he'll just continue in his like gibberish speak.
Enjoy the gibberish.
Ducard fights Bruce and seeks the source of his fear. What are you afraid of, Bruce? And then we get a flashback to Thomas Wayne saving Bruce from the cavern. And what's his famous line? It's like, why do we fall?
Yes.
So we can pick ourselves back up again, or something like that.
Yeah.
That's pretty close to the quote.
Yes, yeah. It's pretty much it.
Alfred is the same age in this scene as he is in the rest of the movie because they just said, fuck it, we're not doing a younger Alfred. We're just keeping Michael Caine for the whole thing.
Yep.
He doesn't
And
age.
it's fine.
Okay.
Who cares? Who cares?
So I think it'd be funny if they made him dress and look like kind of like he did in Jaws: The Revenge.
Would imagine this scene. This is where Alfred just shows up in that plane. He just lands.
Yeah.
He gets out and he's like, my name's Alfred now. And he cleans himself up and boom. That's the origin story of Alfred Pennyworth.
That's how we find out Jaws. Yeah, Jaws and Jaws and Batman Begins are connected.
So
the
good.
Nolan verse.
Yep. So yeah, he Thomas talks to Bruce about being afraid. He's like, everybody's afraid. Every creature has fear of some sort. You just gotta figure out what to do with it. It's a natural thing. And they gotta get dressed because they gotta go to a show. Bruce and his parents go out on the town. They go on the Waynes, like the train that was designed by Thomas, and then you later found out it was also designed by Lucius Fox.
Yep.
But it's a train that it literally goes right to Wayne Tower in the middle of Gotham.
Yep. And
in the comics and in anytime you see Batman, the whole Wayne's murder scene, they're coming out of the Legend of Zorro movie or the Mask of Zorro. It's a Zorro film. They're going to an opera in this one. And it's one that has a lot of bat themes in it and a lot of scary imagery. So it scares Bruce and he goes, I want to leave. And instead of the dad just going, it's a fucking opera, chill out, he goes, oh no, we'll leave. This is when you know that they're rich because these tickets probably weren't cheap. And they're just like, yeah, we'll get up and go. That's fine.
Like, well, I didn't think there were going to be bats in this play. My kid just fell down a well, so.
Hey, what's the name of this play? The Bat People. Got it. Let's go. Let's bring Bruce. He'll be fine.
He'll be perfectly fine.
So instead of walking out the front door of this theater, they go out the back door, which is in the sleaziest alleyway. What the fuck is this decision? This is the boneheaded decision of this movie. Why the fuck did Thomas Wayne do this?
Yeah.
He's right. She's invisible.
We're going out the back.
Invincible,
did they expect to be swarmed by paparazzi and people who are like, oh my God, it's the Waynes. Wouldn't you just contact Alfred and tell him to come pick you up? And then
Didn't we talk about this in another movie?
Yeah.
Yes. Because they don't know what the fuck to do with this goddamn scene and how to make this a legitimate, oh, that was a smart decision. And it was just unfortunate for them that they were in that, that the wrong place at the wrong time. This was just where you're going and you live in Gotham, which even at this time is not a very good city.
Well, they even talk about with the lack of employment or hunger issues or whatever going on, that there's a lot of robbery because of that and theft.
Right. I don't want to spoil. Well, I'll spoil it a little bit. So in the Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, one of the scenes that they show the scene of the Waynes getting killed. Because why not? It didn't need to be in the movie, but fuck it.
Yeah.
They leave the front, but to be honest, it was the most this made sense type of this is why they were murdered scene. If anybody hasn't seen the Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, just pause, just kind of skip ahead until we're not talking about this.
Pluggers.
We haven't watched it either.
I mean, it's the Wayne's dying scene. It's just the way it happens. They walk out of the theater, the front of the theater, and
Okay.
chaos is happening because something that Joker did. Chaos is the streets of Gotham are in chaos. So in order for them to kind of avoid everything, they go, fuck it, I'm going to walk down this alley to try to get to where we need to go. And one of the guys was like, Joker's goons or Joker supporters was like, oh shit, isn't that Thomas Wayne? Fuck that guy. And they go down and they fucking murk them both.
Huh. Okay.
I was like, well, that makes sense. That makes sense why they got shot. Not just like, why am I wandering into this dark, grungy alley for no reason?
Right.
I will
at least in this
these scenes.
I understand. At least in this movie, they kind of try to give some substance to it. Like I said, he wasn't just, they do call him correctly. It's Joe Chill.
Yes. Yep.
They don't just say like, oh, he robbed people because he was robbing people. Like he's like, it was a really bad economic time. He was literally just trying to get some money and stuff out of people, which it's not good, but like it just adds at least a little bit more weight to why he did what he did. He wasn't just some nameless thug that was just robbing people to be robbing people.
Yeah.
So
the actor who played Joe Chill was Richard Brake.
He looked familiar.
He's been in so many movies. He was in Kingsman, Hannibal Rising, which is the prequel to the Hannibal movies.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's on a couple Rob Zombie films. He always plays a fucked up character because the way he looks, very easy to cast in those type of films. Yeah, he's not a small name. All right. So yeah, so the Waynes die. I do like how, they show he's just a guy on hard times who is looking for money. He holds up the Waynes for, they want their wallet and their jewelry. Thomas is like, it's fine. Take it. Just leave, please. And then he sees Martha has the pearls on, and that's what kind of kicks off everything, where Thomas jumps in front of the gun when he shoots at Martha. So Thomas sacrifices himself. And then the fact that Martha got shot, I was kind of like, I don't feel like that was necessary, but in order for Batman to become Batman, or Bruce to become Batman, you got to kill both of them. You can't keep one alive. Imagine if somebody was like, fuck it, we're going to change the origin here, and we're going to make it so just Thomas dies. Which there is a storyline. I don't know if have you ever read the Flashpoint Paradox?
I'm well aware of the Flashpoint Paradox. It's very good. Even if you want if you want an abridged version of that, watch the DC animated version. It's really good for like a short.
Very good. Very good.
It's very good.
Very good. Let's see. So yeah, Bruce meets Gordon at the police station after everything goes down. Gordon tells him it's okay. Is it Gordon? His parents just died. It's fine. You're okay, kid. Bruce blames himself. And and again, I was like, why did you go out the back? Go out the front of the theater, you idiot.
Yes.
We then cut back to current time where Bruce is training with Ducard, starting on the frozen lake. They actually did this on a frozen lake.
Nice.
The cracking you hear on the ice is real.
I love it.
Yeah.
The very next day, the ice was gone.
Ah, well.
So
glad they got those shots in.
Right. And during this, we get a training montage where it's them fighting on the ice, but there's other things going on training wise. Like he's training on these logs as dudes are hitting him with staffs and stuff. I was like, I'd fall immediately.
Oh yeah, me too.
My balance is terrible.
Rip.
And this is where Ducard pretty much tells him, no, it wasn't your fault. It was your father's fault, which then brings out the anger in him. And Bruce is using his anger to fight, which is never a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's where Ducard's like, you have to harness your fear and use it, but don't let your anger consume you because you'll end up losing. Not exactly what he says, but it's to that, regard.
We got you.
We then flash back to young Bruce coming back to prepare for the hearing of the man who killed his parents, Joe Chill. It's Christian Bale. He's probably in his 20s or something. I think he was in college or at this moment.
Probably.
He's resentful, and Alfred puts him in his place. He's pretty much telling him how he's going to knock down the mansion brick by brick. And Alfred's just like, fuck you, man. You go away, you come back, and you're just going to say all this dumb shit. Shut up.
hits him with a rock.
Yeah. Just knocks him out.
Yeah, please.
What happened to Bruce? So I guess I inherit all this.
Ha-ha!
Aha!
Well, it is in his name.
That is
That's
true.
one of the things I love is their stuff on the plane after all this.
So Bruce finds his father's stethoscope and a gun. We meet Rachel Dawes, who I believe she's the assistant DA at this moment. Or she works for the DA's office. I don't know if she's the assistant.
That wasn't until later, I don't think.
Right. She's helping to get Joe Chill set free because he has information about Falcone because they shared a cell together, because of course they did. And yeah, she's got a plea bargain set up, and Bruce is like, why would you set him free? You know what he did. And it's kind of one of those things. It's like, yeah, I mean, yeah, he did it, but it's, you know, he did it for the reasons that I feel you don't think. You think he purposely did it because he was out to kill your parents, when it was just more of the country has a problem. Gotham City has a problem, and this is how shit happens.
It was all happenstance.
Right. So you see the courtroom scene where Joe Chill gets up and he says how he resents everything. If he could go back in time, he wouldn't do it. Blah, blah, blah. The judge gets up. He's like, I heard there's a member of the Wayne family here. And Bruce gets upstairs. I like how Joe never turns around to look at him. It kind of, he can feel him back there.
Yeah.
Bruce,
Yeah.
Yeah. And Bruce walks out.
I like that shot where it's just on Joe, but like you said, you could see
the
Bruce
shot
in the background. Oh, yeah. I was like, yes.
So Bruce waits outside the courtroom with the gun to kill Joe. And as they're walking, it's very reminiscent to the Lee Harvey Oswald assassination, where Harvey Oswald is being taken out and somebody else comes in and takes him out. And of course, it was somebody who worked for Falcone, because he was going to spew all the information he had on him.
Yeah. Falcone says hello, and just comes out.
Yep. And it was a woman, which was unexpected for this. And I mean, not for any particular reason, but it was like, usually it just plays out differently, but I like the choice they made.
I guess a woman in that situation would be more conspicuous or less conspicuous. Sorry. Less conspicuous.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because you wouldn't expect that to happen.
No. So Bruce wants to thank Falcone because of him killing Chill. And Rachel's like, you're a fucking idiot. You want to go thank him? And she brings him down to the... is there another city underneath the highway?
Absolutely there is.
What?
It's like go ahead.
It's like the Narrows, right? Is that where this is? Somewhat?
Maybe?
I don't know.
That's what they mentioned that a lot.
They go underground.
That is.
It's like Midgard from Final Fantasy VII. You have the top and you have like the slums underneath all the other sections.
Pretty much what it is. And she slaps him a couple times because she's like, you're a stupid idiot.
Because he mentions about, he shows her the gun. Shows her the gun that he was planning on shooting Joe Chill.
Yep. So he gets out. He throws the gun into the harbor and pays Falcone a visit. He still goes in there. He shows he's not afraid, and Falcone shows him how much power he has over Gotham. He's like, I got a judge, a DA, an off-duty cop. Like, everybody's in my pocket. You have nothing. There's nothing that you can do. Yeah. And I love Tom Wilkinson in this role. He's so menacing. Yeah,
he's great.
He's somebody you don't fuck with.
He even pulls the pistol out on him, and he points it at him in the middle of this fucking restaurant where everybody can see it.
And I love it though when he gets, when he forces Bruce out, his goons punch him a couple times, and it shows the shot of the judge and a couple other guys just looking like they should do something, but they're like, nah. Sit back here.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Bruce sheds and leaves Gotham behind. The homeless guy that he gives his jacket to. Did you guys ever see Mighty Joe Young?
What, Bill Paxton?
Yeah, this is the bad guy from Mighty Joe Young. The guy with the missing finger.
I watched the original one, but not that one.
He's the bad guy in the Charlize Theron Mighty Joe Young.
Hey,
I was like, I know that guy.
Gotta do something, right?
I love Mighty Joe Young. It's a good movie. Bill Paxton's just great.
He is.
So he gives all of his money in the jacket to this homeless guy. Bruce continues to train. This time he inhales a hallucinogen and then has to try to find Ducard in the group of people that are all dressed the same.
I like that shot. That whole scene is
It's really cool. Really cool.
Where they keep shuffling around him and he's fighting.
He keeps fighting.
It's like perfect.
Yeah, it's
Everybody
so good.
lines up.
Ducard gets him. He slices him in the arm, and I love that Bruce is smart enough to. He goes to other people and slices him in the same spot, so Ducard gets confused and he thinks he has him, and then Bruce comes up. He's like, "Ha ha, tricked you, bitch."
Yeah.
But before all this happens, he goes up to like a crate, and it's got a bat in it. That's your fear, Bruce.
Yep.
Bats.
Oh yeah. While he's on the little hallucinogen, yeah.
Yeah. So he passes all of his training, and the final task is to execute this prisoner that they showed a little bit earlier. He, I guess, was a farmer who became a murderer. That was kind of the extent of what they talked about with this guy. And Bruce is like, no, I am not an executioner. I want to, I instill fear, but I want to make things better. I don't want to just take down, I don't want to execute everybody that has done something wrong. They need to learn. And Ducard's like, you're an idiot. People are bad and they deserve to die. And so Bruce is like, fine, I'll do it. And instead of doing it, he flips up a coal from the fire and sets the whole freaking place on fire.
Yeah.
And Ducard gets knocked out. He fights Raz. Fuck. And he gets killed. And he picks up Ducard and runs out of the building before it blows up. They slide down the mountain in a really cool shot. He saves Ducard and uses the gauntlets, which he would later, incorporate into his bat suit, into the mountain, and clearly dislocates his shoulder. No way about it. I think he actually did painful. When they filmed this. I think because it was Christian Bale does most of all of his own stunts, most or all in this movie. Okay, there's no such thing as most of all or most all. Doesn't make sense.
I would have believed
the only thing he didn't do was drive the tumbler because they were like, nah, it's not happening. This thing cost a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would have wanted to drive it.
So yeah, it's a very painful rescue, but somehow he's got a dislocated shoulder for one, and he's pulling up Ducard with one arm.
Fucking strong.
Back onto the strip. I was like, wow. I wouldn't mess with this man at all. He brings him down to the village and leaves. He wanders onto a airstrip where Alfred's got the private jet. And they get on the plane. He tells Bruce that he was dead pretty much. He was legally dead because he was gone for so long and they didn't know where he was.
Years.
And so Alfred is loaded. He's got all the money. And I like the joke where, Bruce talks about what he wants to do, what his plans are. Like he needs to create a symbol. He can't do everything, the things that he wants being Bruce Wayne. He has to create something else. And I love the line where Alfred goes to take a nap and he's like, oh, maybe I'll let you borrow the Benz.
Yeah, no, he says,
or the Jaguar.
You can borrow the Rolls, but bring it back with a full tank of gas.
Right. Yeah. So funny.
Shit like that.
Like that. It's like, I love their back and forth.
We meet Dr. Jonathan Crane, who is on the stand testifying in defense of Mr. Victor Zsasz.
Yeah.
This Zsasz looked cool, but he was barely in this movie.
He had 2 or 3 actual on-screen shots.
Yeah. And pretty much he's stating that he is not suitable to be in prison and he needs to stay at Arkham because Crane is like the lead doctor at Arkham Asylum. And Rachel is pissed.
Yep.
She confronts him. And then Jonathan Crane's like, you need to keep your people on a leash there, sir, as he's talking to the other guy who works in the DA's office.
Which is her boss.
Right.
She mentions it later.
Bruce finds the next scene is Bruce finding a bat in his house, and it's an actual bat. It's not CG
Real
in
bat.
this scene. Yep, real bat. And he
Fake house, real
ventures
bat.
into the cavern where he faced his biggest fear. And we get the great shot of Bruce surrounded by the bats when he wanders into the larger part of the cave. And the
Yes.
bats all
That's
come
a
down
lot
and
of
they
bats.
swarm him around, and he kind of rises up, and you're like, this is a great shot. Even though, so the bats in the scene had to be CG because they were like, we can't control this many bats at once. The only time they're real is when there's a singular bat.
I was
Makes
just
sense.
waiting for this bat to be on a line and it just go across
Yes,
the room.
I mentioned that. Like, and here's the bat from Day of the Dead.
We got him, guys. He's not even black anymore. He's like a green. He's
moldy. One of the wings is falling off.
He's disgusting. We find out that Crane is working for a shady person who is also, you also find out Falcone's working for him too, in a way, because he tells him that he's coming, and Falcone's like, oh, he's coming here? Oh no. Bruce interrupts the big Wayne Enterprise, the shareholders. They're all meeting there, and he shows up to Wayne Enterprises and surprises everybody because they all thought he was dead.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, Bruce, you're dead. He's like, I'm sorry to disappoint.
A lot of charisma in that guy.
And yeah, he pretty much talks about how he wants, he just wants enough shares so that he's got money. He doesn't want to take back over the company, and he wants a job. And he requests to work down in Applied Sciences. And this is where we meet Lucius Fox, who shows him a lot of cool gear. It's all military gear. It's all real gear, which is really cool that they incorporate like stuff that not everybody is getting this stuff, but it's military grade stuff.
Yeah.
To
I heard they
create
based
the suit.
I heard they based all of his Batman's equipment off actual military equipment.
Yep. So Bruce, I love where he's asking what he needs it for. He's like spelunking.
Yes. Spelunking.
What kind
Yeah,
of-
cave diving.
What kind of spelunking do you plan on doing, Mr. Wayne? Oh boy, I love it. Bruce starts
so
on his
fantastic.
construction of the Batcave, and we get the one of two creation montages where he's spray painting the chest armor. He's what else was he doing?
Sure. Was he working on the bats throwable? Like
That
the
was later. That was
batarang?
later.
That was
That was
later.
later.
Okay.
So he's doing that. He's creating a bunch of stuff for his suit. We then go to Gordon and his sleazy partner Flass, as Flass is
God, dude
getting,
sucks.
or he's pretty much collecting money from businesses around Gotham, and Gordon, of course, knowing what he does, but he can't really. There's not much he can do about it because how corrupt Gotham is.
So bad,
But
dude.
doesn't want
Sucks.
any part of it. He wants no part of it because Flass always offers him money and he always turns it down. He's like, one day you'll wise up there, Gordon. When Gordon is back in the police station, Bruce confronts him. He only has the chest armor. He's got a ski mask on, and he uses a stapler to hold up Gordon, which I thought was great.
Yes. Oh yeah.
It's where we get his the first go round of his more gravelly voice.
Yeah, I like that. The little exchange at the very end. It's like you're only one man. No, that makes two, and then just
Disappears.
Yeah, it's so good.
So Gordon gives chase after he leaves, and Bruce jumps from one building to the other and just smashes off all these fire escapes and is in extreme pain. So the next time he sees Fox, he goes, you have any fabrics? And he shows him this really cool fabric that if you put an electrical current through it, you can form any shape. And that's a cool way of the backstory of his cape. It's not just a cape. It has a purpose. He can legit glide with his cape.
Yep. What is it this time, Mr. Wade? Oh, base jumping.
Base jumping. Yep. And then he sees the tumbler underneath the sheet. He's like, what is that? He's like, oh, the tumbler? Oh, you wouldn't be interested in that. And then they go for a ride.
He's like, hold my beer.
He's legit like a child.
Oh, it's so good.
He's
dude.
like, okay, you when you get enough speed, you hit that button. He just hits the button.
Yeah.
Not yet. And after he's done, he's like, what did you think about that? He's like, does it come in black?
Yep.
Yeah.
So Falcone meets with Flass and tells him that he needs to oversee a shipment over on the docks. He's like, oh, okay.
It's the last shipment, apparently. Supposedly,
Yep.
it's the last shipment.
Yeah. We get more creations created by Bruce in the cave where it shows his cowl. The material's not very good because Alfred hits it with like a hammer and it just shatters. He's like, just try not to land on your head.
Yeah, and it's cool they break down like the analytics of like, if I'm going to buy this, how could I get it but make it not look
Suspicious.
obvious?
Right.
Yeah, through like, if somebody looked through like my company logs, like how would this...
He's like 10,000.
10,000. Like, well, at least we'll have plenty of extras.
Yeah.
And also, this is where he is creating his, I guess they're the batarangs of this universe, where it's just metal, pieces that he shapes into the bat symbol.
Kind of like shurikens more than actual boomerangs.
Yeah. And Alfred asks him why bats. And he said it's because what I fear the most, and I want to instill that same fear in the bad guys of Gotham. And then he throws it against the wall, and you're like, yeah, I want to be hit by that.
Nope.
Pointy.
The shipment is compromised as guys are being taken one by one. Literally, they're walking around. I love this. This is where Batman just comes like from the top. He's coming from the side, like just dragging people away, and you only get glimpses of him. You don't really get the full look. I do love the scene where he comes down like from straight up and grabs a guy upside down.
Arkham takedown, brother.
Oh yeah. Before the Arkham games even came out.
Yep.
It was great.
Well, I like how jumpy all the normal grunts are, like they're like shooting at shadows and like noises and stuff. It's kind of cool.
Where are you? Here.
Yeah.
So Flash goes to investigate and he says, fuck that shit, I'm out.
Yeah.
And Falcone gets back into his car and Batman smashes the roof and pulls him through and does the iconic line, I'm Batman.
Oh?
Who?
No.
And then he zooms up with Falcone. Like the amount of does he have lines already like connected to himself that makes him shoot up like that? There's some scenes where like he must install anchor points.
He has to.
Where he just
yeah.
What he's there. It's the Batman, dude.
So Falcone, he gets captured, right? And Loeb, the commissioner, is like, fuck this, whatever this dude is, this bat guy. And Gordon's like, but he got the guy we've been wanting for a long time. He's like, yeah, but we're not going to let some Joe Schmo do it. And you're like,
yeah,
I can't wait for what happens to you, Commissioner Loeb.
Yeah, because see, like, I get it. Like, I understand he's like trying to do it by the rules. I get it, but like, come on, dude. The dude's helping you out. He's obviously not doing anything.
Right.
I've got to be the big dick around here.
Pretty much. That's what Loeb is in this entire movie. He's just literally like, yeah, he's the commissioner and he's the authority, but like, dude, fuck off. So Alfred wakes up Bruce. It's like nice and bright. I was like, bats are nocturnal. He's like, yeah, but Playboy millionaires aren't.
Yeah, what was it? Was it like 3 p.m. is probably the latest, or 3 o'clock is the latest?
Yeah.
Like, how long has he let him sleep? He made some comment about how long he lets him sleep. It's pretty good.
We find out that someone stole a giant microwave that eliminates water supplies. Uh-oh. Yeah. Why does this thing even exist? Oh, wait, it's because of wartime, right? It was a war weapon, military weapon. Right. So, like, eliminate the water supply of your enemies. Mm-hmm. Playboy Bruce comes to play. He goes to that hotel. He goes with a couple models, and they end up swimming in, like, the pool that's in the front.
They're European. It's okay.
Yes. Yeah. And they're like, we're going to have to ask you to leave. Then he just cuts a check. He's like, I'm going to buy this motel. And it's like, I don't know if that's how business acquisitions happen. I don't know if you could just write a check and then everything's fine. But all right,
here
Bruce.
We are.
Yep. Bruce also joins in on the swim. I love where he's sitting down with the group and he talks about Batman. He's like, a guy who dresses up like a bat. What a freak.
Yeah,
clearly
right.
Has some problems, is what he says. Yeah. So Crane, he also runs into Rachel, and she, pretty much is like, "Oh, I'm happy to see you, but I see you've changed and not the way I like. He's like, this isn't me. This isn't how I really am. She's like, okay, whatever, and leaves.
What is the line she says to him? Because it's important later. It's essentially like the character. It's the character of a person isn't represented by what they do on the outside. It's like the actions, or who they are on the inside. It's the actions they do in life, or something essentially along those lines.
Yeah. We then cut to Crane visiting Falcone, and Falcone meets Scarecrow. The mask wasn't originally in the script. David S. Goyer had to talk Christopher Nolan into including it, which I'm okay with the way it was incorporated in this movie, where it wasn't just him running around with this mask on all the time. It was to manipulate people. It was to, put them on his side, or to manipulate the court systems and having these people be in Arkham, which is how they get Falcone to stay in Arkham, is he uses the fear toxin, wears the Scarecrow mask, and then Falcone's crazy now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Even though Rachel's like, how does somebody in their 50s with no history of mental illness just suddenly have a mental break like that? Which in reality could happen. It's not unrealistic.
Right before their court hearing.
Right. Yeah. It was more of the timing.
Yeah.
Batman goes to Gordon's house and talks about Flash, and pretty much Gordon's like, yeah, he's a piece of shit. But there's really nothing I can do. I can't really go to anybody because everybody's under Falcone's, in Falcone's pocket anyways.
Yeah.
Batman then runs into Flash about the deliveries. I love this. I hate Flash. He's a terrible person.
He is fucking awful.
Or the guy gets the falafel and doesn't pay, and he's like, oh, I have kids. He's like, what, they don't like falafel?
Well, did he take out of his tip jar? Like, he just reach and take money
that's
out
what he
of
does.
tip?
Yeah, he takes money out of there. He goes down the alleyway, and Batman zips him up by his foot, and this is where we get the full graspy, gravelly voice of Batman. Just, where are they going?
Yeah.
Where are the other drugs going?
Where are the other drugs going? And it was
so funny. I don't know. I swear to God. Swear to me.
It's
God,
great. He keeps dropping him, picking him back up, and then he drops him again after he finds out what he's doing. Rachel's boss goes down to the docks to open up the crate, the one crate that I guess
there was an extra crate on the ship.
Yeah. And he opens up and they find the microwave emitter that has the Wayne Enterprises logo on it. And he's like, what the hell? And then he gets shot by the two guys that were breathing. Oh yeah, he gets right in the back.
Gotta love movies. You gotta love movie suppressor logic. It's so fucking funny. It's the quietest thing in the world.
Right?
Batman snoops around in this apartment that he was told about from Flash, and he runs into King Joffrey, who's just a kid as he's going up, and he throws him he's got like a thing that he can it's like infrared, right? And he gives it to the kid.
Like, my friends won't believe me that I saw Batman. He's like, here you go, dude.
Yeah. And like, your friends still won't believe you.
Would have been better if you would have just tossed him with little batarang things, because it actually looks like Batman,
right?
But he throws it and embeds it in his chest, like ices the kid.
Now you can never be now you can never be king of Kingsland. I don't know.
Yes.
Oh,
sorry, you're done.
God.
You're done.
Batman runs into the Scarecrow, and Scarecrow hits him with the fear toxin and then sets him on fire. This scene is crazy. Batman is literally fucking losing his mind because he gets hit with the fear toxin. Then he just gets engulfed in flames, jumps out the window without hesitating, smashes onto a rooftop, climbs up, and the fear in his voice when he's calling for Alfred. I never knew he was calling for help. I thought he was just calling for Alfred, but he actually says, Alfred, help.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he's in the back seat of the car and he's hallucinating. He's like, poison, toxic, poison. And Alfred's like, fuck.
Yeah, because he tries to tell him to get a blood sample. And I like Scarecrow's dispersal method. Where if he puts the mask on, it's almost like there's a breathing apparatus in it, so he doesn't
Yeah,
doesn't
The
inhale it.
toxin.
Right.
Yeah, but and he's got like it in the wrist. He can just like gas people in the face.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's just,
Very creative for a grounded
here.
Batman movie.
and it's because it's something subtle that
I
he
need you
could.
to look at this hairspray can.
Yeah, does it smell like chloroform to you?
Oh,
But it's subtle because he could wear it under his regular suit and tie, and nobody
Right,
is the
yeah.
wiser.
So Fox creates an antidote. Rachel brings Bruce a present because it's his birthday.
Mhm.
And it's the arrowhead from the beginning of the movie. So the big thing about the first scene of the movie when young Bruce and Rachel are playing hide and go seek or whatever is that Rachel finds an old arrowhead in the dirt.
Yep, finders keepers.
Yep. So
It's been 2 days, by the way. He was out 2 days.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he does. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, it was just because Fox creates the antidote, and then he wakes up and they tell him.
Yeah, and he does mention he's like, oh, I experienced something like this, but not as potent as this. The toxin he was getting, or that Scarecrow used on him.
Yeah. So it's time for Batman to visit Arkham Asylum because he goes to Arkham because Rachel's going there, and he spies on them as Rachel and Crane are having a conversation. And I love the way he gets into the Batcave with the piano keys. And then the cabinet opens and he gets down there. It's just an old school elevator, which is really cool.
Yep.
Earls, who is Rutger Hauer, goes to Fox about info on the microwave emitter and then tells him to get all this information and then fires him. I've been like, fuck you, man. You probably should have told him you were firing him after he got you all the information, not tell him to get you the information and goes, oh, and then you're fired. And it's like, well, then I'm not getting you that information then.
Did you get the memo?
Yeah. Rachel visits Crane at Arkham to confront him about Falcone, which is the conversation we had or we talked about earlier, where she's pretty much like, how does a guy with no history of mental illness the day before his hearing have a mental break?
Yeah, and she demands her own psychiatrist to look at him and all the medical information, blood work, all that stuff on it.
Yep. So Crane's like, oh, I got something to show you down in the basement. He brings her down there, and they're making a shit ton of fear toxin, and they're pouring shit into the water supply.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh,
Medicine.
shit. Mm-hmm. Rachel gets attacked, but Batman is there. She gets sprayed, and Batman is there to help. And you got to love the goons' questions to Crane. He's like, can the Batman really fly?
I guess we'll find out soon enough.
Yeah. So Batman attacks and he sprays Crane with his own fear toxin. And I love this imagery of Batman.
It looks really good.
Just shit's coming out of his mouth, but his face is all black. He's got that really just terrifying voice.
I love it.
Need more of that Batman.
Oh, so good. Cops show up and Gordon rushes in. Batman tasks him to get Rachel out. And Batman calls in some backup, which is a lot of bats.
Yeah. He has
pretty
like a
much
sonic
all come
emitter
to the
or
sonic
something.
emitter. Yep.
Under his boot. Like it's in the bottom of his boot.
It's so cool.
You
And then he
Batman.
drops it down the staircase so that when he dives, he's like in the middle of the bats.
Yeah.
So it kind of
really
like
cool.
hides him. Really
This
cool.
whole scene is great.
They both, Gordon and Batman, meet at the same time. And this is where Gordon's like, oh, I'll go grab my car. And he's like, I brought mine. And then you get the cool shot of just the lights from the tumbler. And it comes out and he throws Rachel in there and he drives off. And he's like, I need to get me one of those.
Yeah.
We get some roof driving, which is great. Like, fuck roads.
Oh,
Let's
that's
just drive
cool.
up on the
Yeah. We're just gonna
rooftops here.
jump rooftop to rooftop.
What kind of vehicle is it? It's a black tank.
Yeah.
Those guys would have been dead. I'm sorry. The guy who was driving that cop car would have been dead. It went right over. Like the fact that he was able to dodge that. The only reason you know that he didn't die is they show those two cops in that car. They're the ones that call in the tumbler, which it's weird. I don't want to call it the Batmobile. It is the Batmobile, but it's the tumbler because that's what they call it.
Yeah.
It's not once called the Batmobile in this trilogy, to be honest.
Isn't this the only movie it shows up in? Or
No.
does it show up in the other ones?
No, it shows up in the next one.
Okay.
And then we get other versions of it in Rises.
Oh, okay.
So he needs to get home to give Rachel the antidote. And it's like down to the wire. I like the different ways that Batman's trying to avoid the cops. He's driving on the highway and he turns off his lights.
There's no
Like,
stealth
where'd he
mode.
go? Where'd he go? And then the only reason a cop sees him is he drives by and he could see just kind of like, you could hear it. He's like, oh, he's right there.
Yeah, turn on the thrusters.
Yep. So he gets there just in the nick of time to save Rachel. Bruce needs his birthday party to end. He gets all suited up and he tells Alfred that he needs to get all these people on. He's like, these are Bruce Wayne's people. You can't just do this. And he's like, I'm gonna do what I want. And he tells Fox to make more antidote. He's like, but I got fired. And he's like, you'll find a way back in.
Yeah.
The real Ra's al Ghul is here. The one man once named Ducard.
Well, I think you should mention, because something happens before this. It's where Rachel wakes up and he gives her but he's Batman. He gives her two vials of the antidote, one for Gordon and one to take for mass production.
Yeah.
And then he chloroforms her, and then he's like, Alfred, just go stuff her in the back of your vehicle while people watch awkwardly.
Yeah, that was a weird shot. So Bruce kicks all of his guests out of the party, and I love it. It's in such a dick way. Like,
it's great.
Fucks, get the fuck out of my house. And then you got the one guy's like, oh, the apple fell really far from the tree. Get the fuck out of here, old guy.
Yeah, it's like, piss off.
Fuck. To be honest, everything he says is probably real. Like, it's probably true.
This is just the way that he's like, all right, this is the way I'm going to do it.
Yep.
He's doing it for a good reason, all right?
Yeah. So, I'm still going to call him Ducard, even though he's technically Ra's. He plans to destroy Gotham through fear. Pretty much tells him that they're going to be taking that microwave emitter, and with all that toxins that were poured in, once the water goes away, the toxin will go into the air, and it'll kill people. He then sets the Wayne Manor on fire, and a giant piece of support falls on Bruce, and Ducard leaves. The inmates. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was like, after they fight, and he's like, you never pay attention to your surroundings, and that beam falls on. Oof.
So the inmates of Arkham are set free, and Rachel wakes up and goes to bring Gordon the antidote.
Yeah, because doesn't he mention he's got members? There's members of the League of Shadows in like every level of the city government and systems.
Yeah,
they're everywhere.
So Alfred goes rushing into the burning building, which is, God, love Alfred. He goes in, saves Bruce. He's like, I love it where he can't get it off. He can't get the beam off. He's like, what the hell is the point of doing all them push-ups if you can't even lift a piece of wood off you?
Yeah.
Oh man, I love the beam's on fire too, and it's just like nonchalantly like waiting there for something to happen.
Yep.
In reality, Bruce is leaving there with 2nd to 3rd degree burns.
Probably all fucked up.
Yep. Alfred, so yeah, he saves them, and then they escape to the Batcave as the house explodes, pretty much. It just crumbles and everything. And I love you never gave up. You've never given up on me, Alfred. And he's like, never. Like, oh man, emotions. I love these guys. So Rachel gets to Gordon, and she finds little King Joffrey getting bullied by some fake cop. I hate this guy. This guy sucks. It's like the worst part of this fucking movie because he pushes him. He's like, excuse me, I can't find my mom. And he pushes him away. And then Rachel's just like, hey, what the fuck was that? And then the guy does this. He points at her. I'm like, the hell? This dude's a weirdo.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Cool.
You need Donald Sutherland for that.
Yeah, we do. Well, he would have been great in this franchise.
Yeah, he would have.
As a bad guy.
Yes.
He would have been, you know what character he'd be great as? Like Hugo Strange. Oh, yeah. Ideas, Warner Brothers, Matt Reeves. Ghul sets off the device and causes chaos. All the manhole covers keep exploding and the toxins get into the air. Gordon pops one of those antidotes. Rachel's already had the antidote, so I guess it doesn't affect her anymore.
Yeah, because she just had it
wasn't
earlier today. It was just not long ago. Yeah.
And craziness ensues. People are just going nutty. And this is where I do love the imagery of Crane riding horseback with the Scarecrow
Yes.
mask on, and he's, you know, chasing her around, and then she shoots him with the taser
in the face.
But it's great to see Crane riding a horse, because it's the whole Scarecrow, like the character of Jonathan Crane, the Scarecrow. It's all goes back to the Legend of Sleepy Hollow story, because that was Crane was the name of the character in that, and then of course like the Headless Horseman and all that stuff. But I thought it was a really cool image, and then she just shoots him with a taser and just fucking flops over and just rides.
Is that happen? Gordon, he knocks out the one guy. Was that before or after that?
He knocks out the one guy.
His partner, Klaus, or whatever his name was.
Flass.
Flass.
Oh yeah, he knocks him out.
He's like,
and then then Batman shows up. He because the Zaz and a bunch of inmates from Arkham are like coming, like they're swarming Rachel.
Yeah.
And the kid, and then Batman shows up and beats the shit out of him, and then tells Gordon to take the Batmobile and drive away. And, you know, he gives him a mission pretty much. So yeah, he tasks Gordon on going and destroying the support columns for the train track.
Yeah.
So that the train won't make it all the way to Wayne Tower. Batman escapes getting swarmed by all the people that are crazy. Like he's literally getting swarmed until he attaches the grappling hook onto the train and like shoots out of there.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really cool. He gets up to the train and he fights Ghoul. He fights him good.
Good fight. Good scrap.
Yep. I love how he, you know, of course, Ghoul stabs the control panel so that they can't stop the train. He activates the as everything's happening where the pressure keeps rising. He keeps showing the guys who work at like the treatment plant or the water treatment plant as they're like, oh, the pressures, it's too much, as it's getting closer and closer.
Yeah.
And he finally talks about the surroundings. He throws the surroundings line back to Roz. He's like, you know, you need to, you know, better look at your surroundings. And he like knocks him over and he gets on top of him. And I love how he has he's got like the batarangs in his hand, like a fucking claw, just like, it's about to stab him.
Yeah.
And then we get a scene that is really controversial, especially for this Batman, because in this Batman universe, Batman doesn't kill. And his one rule is he does not kill. Yet in this scene, he tells Ra's al Ghul, he's like, I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you.
Yep.
Which a lot of people on the interwebs like to throw out there that Batman kills him because he doesn't save him.
Oh, hold on. I have a thought for this. I have a thought, and it's something I want to add to this. Raish hit the control panel knowing where it was going to keep it from stopping.
Right.
How the fuck was he going to save himself?
I don't know.
Before all this happened. Exactly. Right. Yeah. He didn't give a shit. As long as he finished his mission, he didn't care.
Right.
I don't think. And no, I agree with it, because Batman's not. He's like, I don't have to save you. You're trying to kill a bunch of people. This is on you. You figure your own shit out. And secondly, you actually get, during this whole sequence, you get a bunch of exposition about how the League of Shadows tried to wipe out Gotham before, but it was Bruce's parents that stopped them because they were, you know, donating and trying to help people out. And they tried to destroy them through the whole economic thing where there was no food and people didn't have jobs and shit like that.
Yeah.
But, you know, Martha and Thomas Wayne actually went against that, which fucked it up for them. So you come to find out this whole big circle thing that essentially Raish had his parents killed.
Right.
You know, in one way or another.
Yeah, yeah. So. Without him actually saying that.
Yeah.
He does, yeah. Because he created Joe Chill. Because he created guys like him.
Indirectly, and then Batman's like, all right, well, I can indirectly, or I don't have to directly save you either, or directly kill you either, so I can just...
Yep. So yeah, we missed we didn't talk about the scene on the rooftop when, after Batman saves Rachel and the kid, he goes up there and she's like, oh, just tell me who you are. And he says something. He says what she told Bruce back to her. And that's when she determines it's Bruce.
Figures it out.
And then all this happens. Yeah. Gordon takes out the support beam. It destroys the track. So when when Batman escapes the train just falls down and explodes. And Ra's al Ghul is dead.
Yep.
What happens after this? Does it go straight to the end part at Wayne Manor?
I think so. I think it cuts to Wayne Manor. I'm pretty sure.
We go to Wayne Manor, and it's destroyed, of course. And Bruce is telling Alfred about how he's going to rebuild it brick by brick, and talks about like the area in the southeast corner.
I suggest you start in the southwest corridor.
Yes.
Some improvements to the foundation.
Improvements to the foundation in the
Yes.
southwest corridor.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love the Master Wayne. Batman made page 1, but Bruce Wayne only managed to get to page 8. It's just like drunken millionaire burns down mansion.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah, he takes back Wayne Enterprises because from Earl and fires
because he goes back to the office and Lucius Fox is in the big conference room.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought I fired you.
You did.
I got a new job.
Yours.
What? Yours. Yeah.
Oh,
It's so great.
good, dude. I love that whole exchange. I purchased it all through subsidiaries and
Like, how
charitable services.
How is this possible when the company went public last week? It's like, well, it's because I bought all of the shares for it through all of these ways.
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, it's really complicated.
Yeah.
He literally regurgitates the same line he tells Bruce at that party.
Yep.
God, it's so good.
So good. So this is bad. Then they go to Wayne Manor where they talk about rebuilding it brick by brick. Rachel comes up and, he apologizes for not telling her he's Batman earlier. She's like, it's fine. But she pretty much tells him that Batman is your true identity now. And Bruce Wayne is just the mask you wear.
Yep.
So, and she can't be with him if that's the case. So I guess they're just friends. And they walk off.
Go ahead. No, finish.
No, they just walk off holding hands.
I will say this. I like this more than like all the other Batman movies before this, I guess, except for Batman and Robin. Because every other time he just wants to get mad leg and then tells her that he's Batman. And this just feels like at the end, she's like, well, what you said earlier, you're probably going to die. At least tell me who you are. And I feel like he's just like, because they grew up as friends, he's like, I feel like this is just something he's like, I feel I owe you this. Let me tell you. Figure, that's when it felt more genuine than like, I had sex with you. Let me tell you I'm Batman.
Yeah.
Yep. We then cut to the rooftop of the symbol, right? He makes they had the spotlight with the Bat logo.
Yeah, he's talking to Gordon. Yeah.
Yep. And he's like, well, we don't have anything big, but we have, we got this. And he's like, armed robbery and some other charges. And
armed robbery, double homicide.
Yep. And he's like, and he leaves a calling card and he gives it to him and it's a Joker card. And 13-year-old Parker was just like, yes.
I will say I do like the fact that Gordon brings up escalation.
Yep.
Where he talks about, well, we go to semi-automatics, they get fully automatics, we got bulletproof vests, they have armor-piercing rounds, which admittedly, kind of yes, but all of this technology was in the military longer before it was even police. Right. Most police did not have semi-automatic weapons until like the 70s and 80s. So
I do like
I like that.
I do like that he also mentions that they didn't catch everybody from Arkham. Like there are people still out there. So
Crane specifically, they mentioned Crane.
I thought that was cool. But yeah.
Yep, I like that. I also there's another scene we didn't talk about earlier. It's where Batman pays Gordon a visit at his house. Yeah, because he's like taking the trash out or something.
No, we talked about that because they talk about Flass. That's where he knows what Flass is doing and all that stuff. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I
thought that was great.
But yeah, there it is. That's Batman Begins, everybody.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, we'll do rankings next week just because as of right now, I'm not feeling too hot and I really want to end this. So we'll do rankings next week for Batman Begins and The Dark Knight in our rankings for, Batmobile, Batman movie and all that stuff. So yeah, that's it. This week, I hope on Monday we released our fresh cuts of Turning Red, the newest Pixar movie. Wednesday, is our video debut of Resident Evil Extinction.
Nice.
There's a possibility, and I'm just going to say it, there's a possibility that there will be an episode of Slice of TV with someone where we're going to be talking about the Halo. We're going to be talking about Halo Episode 1.
Cool.
If it's not out, you know from listening to this, it never came out. But it's out into the universe if it does. Next week, we're covering The Dark Knight. We are continuing our journey through the Batman movies, and I can't wait. And hopefully I feel better so that it'll be a little bit longer of a show, and I can feel I'm here and I'm having a good time, but my body is not.
Yeah, it's like, come check it out, dude.
Yeah. But I appreciate everybody supporting the channel. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on the YouTube channel, and make sure to rate us on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods. Make sure to rate us and leave us a review there if you can. And make sure, Dan, what do they need to do?
Jurassic Park 3!
Watch Jurassic Park 3. I don't know what's going on with our YouTube channel. I think we're shadow banned, but that's fine. We're still here, guys.
It's still there. Or you can
watch it if you
listen
can.
to Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah, exactly. You can do whatever you want. We're in many different ways, many different forms. But until next time, I am your host, Brett Parker, and that is Dan and Angela of DNA Gaming. We are Dissect That Film, and this has been the Dissect That Film podcast number 48. We'll see you all next week, everybody.
Bye.